Hi, I'm Taylor Cimillo.
I'm Zachary Egland.
And I'm Kerri Neville.
We are Freedom Air, a regional airline based in Regions 1 and 4. Our vision is to become a higher quality, affordable airline that is available for all. It is our mission to offer comforting services at a reasonable price to take you where you have to go, from start to finish, with your satisfaction guaranteed. Some big decisions that shaped our company was offering a car transport service, opening a hub in 2 regions, and leasing 2 new airplanes, which brings us to a total of 5 airplanes. These decisions shaped our airline company and followed our mission accordingly. While evaluating Freedom Air through Porter's 5 Forces model, we looked at how threats of new entry and substitutes and bargaining power of buyers and sellers affect the overall rivalry and competition in the airline industry. The threat of new entry in the airline industry is pretty minimal. Consumers would naturally lean towards well-known, established companies since there is safety and risk towards newer airlines. The buyer's bargaining power is very strong in this industry. Buyers control this market. There is little to no consequences when switching from airline to airline. Buyers have the freedom to pick whatever company is the most quality for them and has the lower price. We put a lot of money towards marketing and advertising to attract these buyers. The threat of substitution in the airline industry would be the use of other transportation methods, like cars and trains. However, airplanes are more convenient for consumers, which makes the airline industry secure. The bargaining power of suppliers is important. In this industry, you had the options of a fuel supplier contract, an open supplier market, or a 50-50 of both. Freedom Air used the 50% contract fuel and 50% open market fuel. We did this to minimize the supplier power by always looking for better deals. Since fuel is expensive, suppliers needed each company to choose them as their supplier, so their power was not overly abusive. Suppliers kept their prices competitive with the market, which did not hurt the companies too much. There's a lot of competition in this industry. We are heavily competing with 7 other companies. To succeed in this industry, we targeted our opponents and found ways to attract customers to fly Freedom Air versus others. We offered low prices with quality comfort, and that, on top of our utilization of heavy marketing, made us one of the top companies in this industry. By understanding the power of buyers and suppliers and the threat of new entrants and substitutions, we understood the fierce competition and used it to our benefit. The key success factors in this industry is how each airline markets their company, finances their company, staffs their employees, and schedules their flights. These key factors are what makes or breaks each company. Each airline has to be able to have stable levels for each of those factors to succeed. The airline industry is attractive due to its low risk. Since there is a lot of competition, there is less of a risk in regard to the power of suppliers and threat of substitution. However, it is also not attractive for new entrants since there is so much competition as it is. Also, it is very costly to begin an airline company. This can hurt a startup airline if they do not have enough money to properly compete.
So we decided to go with a cost leadership strategy for our generic strategy. We wanted to focus on delivering a quality product for the lowest possible price. We knew that our target market would react well to this because they're middle-class flyers who are very price sensitive. To implement this strategy, we knew that we would have to efficiently use our resources and make productive use of our marketing funds. With respect to our value chain, we had a lot of key activities that contributed to our company. We identified pricing, scheduling, and marketing as our main primary activities, and some of our support activities were supplier management, employee training, and human resources management. We were able to recognize the need of efficiency in our value chain because of our strategy. That strategy being the low prices, so we had to save money and time whenever possible in order to be successful. A core competency is an ability or strength of a company that gives them a competitive advantage and can also define who they are. One of our core competencies is definitely our marketing. We believe that we have a clear and concise target market, which has allowed us to strategically position ourselves very well. The value of this competency comes from our rare combination of the perfect marketing strategy for our target market. Many companies have unclear target markets or do not market to their customers properly. Another one of our core competencies is our pricing and location strategy. We have many convenient locations and offer low prices with a high attention to quality. We think this is very beneficial to customers and it makes it easy to manage tough decisions as well. As an airline company, the basic structure of our business model is pretty self-explanatory, but we definitely look at ourselves as a low-cost carrier. We focus on lowering costs whenever possible so that we can deliver such a low price. Our short and frequent flights make us somewhat unique, and we definitely offer less luxuries than luxurious airlines. We also think that our extensive marketing efforts plays into our business model because it's such a big role in what our business does. We are always looking to increase brand awareness. We are also looking to give information about the services that we offer, and we also want to develop a favorable position in all our customers' minds.
So, our cooperative strategy was extremely important since the beginning of the simulation, especially throughout Module 3. But in one of the first decisions that we made, we decided to be a part of a 50-50 fueling contract, which stuck with us for the remainder of the simulation. By deciding to have a 50-50 fueling contract, it was a good idea because 50% of our fuel was purchased on the open market and the last 50% of the fuel was purchased on contract. We also thought it would be important to spend $3,500 per quarter per aircraft on maintenance to keep our planes clean and to prevent any liabilities from our passengers. When it came to our dual designation in quarter 5, we decided to continue as an independent operation computer-aided scheduling technique, which optimizes our ability to connect with major carrier flights. This also helps us schedule things easier and make sure that there is enough flights going in and out of each region. For our corporate strategy within Module 3, there are many ways that we had to diversify our airline in accordance to the rest of the teams within the simulation. For the most part, we wanted to make sure that we were maintaining all of our goals, which meant being available to all, balancing quality and cost, and we wanted to slowly grow our staff in order to keep our advertisements and promotions relevant and accessible to our base target market, which is the middle class. For our routing, we had 8 routes in Region 1 and 8 in Region 4. Since we only had 2 aircrafts, the TP300 and the TP340 in Region 1, it was definitely important to keep the number of flights per route per day to a minimum. This means that in order to maximize all of our routes with the planes that we had to keep one daily flight on routes 1A, 1C, 1D, 1E1, 1E2, and 1F. This generated approximately 21,000 miles per flight on those 6 routes alone. And we kept these flights at a regular fared price, which meant that it had a projected break-even of 61.3%. The last 2 routes in this region were 1B and 1F, and they both had 2 daily flights, and together they both generated 1,640 miles per flight, which was also priced at a normal fare. For Region 4, it was more ideal to place 3 aircrafts, which would be the 2 of the TP300 and 1 of the TP340. There are heavier routes scheduled in this region. So for routes 4A, 4B, 4D, and 4R all had 1 daily flight, which means that they're generating 2160 miles per flight when combining the 3 routes together. 4C, 4E1, and 4F all have 2 flights per day, bringing in a total of 1,160 flight miles, while 4E2 has 3 flights per day, totaling 1,200 miles per flight by itself. We also kept these flights at a regular fare, which kept our break-even percentage the same as Region 1, 61.3%. It was also important for us to join several consortiums for online ticket sales while also maintaining the ticket sales through our website. Another important part of our market strategy that was implemented was that we allowed cargo storage, which gave us a wider range of customers. And then by Decision 3, we started the car rental service. Since we wanted to be seen as more of a transportation business over just a specifically airline business, it was important to give our customers the tools that they needed in order to have as a successful trip as they possibly could as soon as they landed. There are plenty of core competencies that differentiated Freedom Air from our own competitors. The first being our decision to focus on environmental factors. Another way that we boosted our core competencies um, was not hiring the competitor's previous employees. We also thought it was important to hire the middle aged minority woman. She was essentially the only candidate with a college degree, and not only do we want to continue to diversify our company with the people who are most deserving for the job, but we also want to make it clear that we're staying ahead of minority hiring processes. And lastly, we also wanted to make sure that we were supplying to our customers' needs as much as we possibly could. It was important for us to provide free soft drink snacks and small snack meals for longer duration flights. We want our customers and the people who are flying with us constantly to give us that customer retention and loyalty.
A strategic implementation is definitely very important. We knew going into it that it wasn't just the planning that we had to focus on, it was how we were going to execute that plan. We strictly relied on our strategic plan to make key decisions. This made the process very easy. Through these decisions, we emphasized the importance of our employees because we knew that if we made our employees happy, they would make our customers happy. Our team worked very well together because we all brought different perspectives and different strengths. We collaborated very well and also agreed on a lot of the decisions that we made because of our well thought out strategy. We knew the importance of employee incentives to the implementation of our plan. This is because when we motivate our employees, they'll be more willing to execute the plan as we wish. So we started with bonuses based on profits. This was going well, but once we switched to stock bonuses, we saw our customer satisfaction go up along with our employee satisfaction.
The liquidity analysis demonstrates our company's ability to pay off debt. You determine this through the current ratio. The current ratio is current assets divided by current liabilities. Our final current ratio was 1.852. This means we were able to pay off our debt since the ratio was higher than 1. The higher the number, the better. Although the industry ratio has consistently been higher than our ratio, we are still competing successfully since our current ratio is still very high. The leverage analysis is another way to analyze how Freedom Air manages their debt. This analysis is found through the debt to equity ratio. This is found by dividing total debt by total equity. Our final ratio was 0.787. The lower the number, the better. This graph shows this ratio throughout the entire simulation. Our ratio trend is declining. Although the industry levels are lower than ours currently, our debt to equity ratio is declining at a faster rate, which shows success for our future. Our profitability analysis consists of return on sales ratio and return on equity ratio. The return on sales ratio is operating profit divided by net sales. This shows our company's profit based on operations. Our ending ratio is 0.043, which is slightly less than the industry's 0.046 ratio. This means we are slightly less profitable based on our operations. However, moving towards our future, our ratio is on an incline while the industry's is on a decline, so this could be beneficial for the future. Return on equity is found by dividing net income with the average shareholder's equity. We have a return on equity of 0.067. This is slightly better than the industry standards of 0.046. This means that we make more profit on assets than the industry does. Comparatively to the industry, Freedom Air is achieving slightly better. Although we are less liquid and slightly more debt, our profits are very competitive. We would be considered to be a competitive parity. This means we are average in all analysis fields in the industry. These graphs prove that Freedom Air ratios and the industry ratios are similar. Our trends, however, mean for a successful future if they continue in their positive manner that they are in now.
There are a lot of things that we learned while managing Freedom Air. Some of the more important aspects were our supplier relationships, making the right decisions to save money, and also paying off our dividends as soon as we got the chance, because for a lot of the simulation, we had trouble doing that. So we learned that sometimes it is important to trust the fact that in the end, decisions can be made off the primary fact that business is business. We learned this in Decision 8 when we were dealt with the opportunity to go with Apex as a fuel supplier instead of sticking with our current supplier. Even though it kind of went against our morals, turned out to be a good decision because we needed to save money at that time, and it was also a cheaper fueling option. The basis of our strategy was primarily positioned on our company's willingness to not only adapt to the differences between operational effectiveness and strategy, but to determine the cohesiveness of trade-offs when we were placed against the competitors within the simulation. This helped us distinguish the importance of our strategy and how our strategy must be incorporated into our operations constantly in order to remain successful. Nevertheless, when we opened our strategy to the universe of red and blue oceans, it helped us internalize our ideals by giving us the opportunity to not only expand into more of a transportation market instead of just the airline market, but into a vast world of possibilities for our company as a whole. By differentiating our strategy from that of our competitors, we realized that this was probably the most crucial step when looking for advantages within the industry. One thing that differentiated us in Module 1 was the fact that we added the cargo service as well as the car rental service. Having these attributes complemented our airline, which meant that our customers are going to benefit by having two products combined, essentially meaning that the greater sum of the products is valued instead of just being in isolation. When we expanded into the cargo market, it opened up plethoras of new customers while maintaining our current customers within the commercial airline industry, but also giving us a chance to increase our revenue by giving our customers the option to rent a car when. As the airline simulation market continued to saturate, we realized that we had to maintain inimitability to persist in the short term, which helped us grow profits through the long term. It was definitely important for us to focus on these 4 attributes, the first being physical uniqueness, the second being path dependency, the third being casual ambiguity, and the fourth being economic deterrence. We learned in Module 2 that inimitability is the heart of value creation because it limits competition, and that's a direct quote from Collis and Montgomery on page 143. Module 3 taught us the importance of the implementation of our strategic principles and how our strategic principle is going to be different than our mission or our vision statement because it's going to be more action-oriented over a futuristic goal. Every time we had a decision to make, we knew that our strategic principle always had to be implemented into the decision, and by maintaining inimitability, we stuck with our same goals from the beginning. And finally, in Module 4, we were able to connect everything that we learned in the previous 3 modules, and we were given the opportunity to realize that our strategy must be turned into great performance overall. It's important to shrink the performance gap because establishing our strategy meant that we were going to be dealt with the situation where sometimes our decisions are going to go against our strategy, but the most important thing for us to realize throughout the simulation was that our strategy was set for us from the beginning, and it was something that we needed to keep our eye on through the end. In conclusion, this semester taught us a lot of different things about the importance of implementing a strategy when running a successful startup company. Managing Freedom Air showed us how there are a lot of different aspects, such as the importance of competitors, buyers' bargaining power, and imitability that all play an extremely crucial role when running a company. We also realized how important marketing is, along with proper financing, and how they helped our company in the long run. Moreover, providing a clear and concise promotion strategy topped with competitive prices is always going to give any company a step up within a highly saturated market, such as the one that we were dealt with within the airline simulation.
Keeping value high is very beneficial to customers, while maintaining inimitability helps the company distinguish itself from the rest in the market. Thank you for listening and have a great summer.